Yeah, you can take it. You can take it. You can take it. You know, they're sitting there all alone. It seems like. Okay. I'm not sure which one is the link I should be posting. Let's see. We're ready.
I figured I spent enough money here. I said last time I was here, I was going to get. Yeah, you probably and nothing about dead people on the How much does it take today? 1 hour? I like sitting back.
Ready? I killed the
Buenas noches. De parte del grupo de Scrum Costa Rica, gracias por estar nuevamente acá. Nos alegra mucho. Perry, es la segunda vez que está con nosotros, la primera vez que estuvo en enero. Y Perry es un Agile Coach, Evangelist de Infusionsoft en Phoenix, en Arizona, y nos va a dar charla. Perry.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I understand we had some challenges getting here. Sorry for that. I'm super excited to be here. I think he said my Spanish. I thought I heard second time or something. No, second time. Yeah. So this is my second time here. I love coming down here. It's really fun. And the last time I did talk, everybody was great. So again, for coming. If I get talking too fast, I say as I slow down. If I get talking too fast, look confused or something, so that I'll slow down. Stop me, raise your hand, scream. There's definitely a few points in the talk where you guys will be talking. We're going to start out actually talking with each other, and then we're going to try to have some conversations. So hopefully that all pans out really well. All right. So tonight's, let me tell you about Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft is a company I work for, and we make sales and marketing software for small businesses. So if you're like a 1-person to like a 25-person company, we capture leads off your website and then email market them and make sales with a shopping cart, all in one piece of software. So that's what Infusionsoft does. All right, let's get started. So with people next to you, you guys are going to start by talking with each other. Our topic today, team health. So what does that mean to you? What does team health mean? And what are some of the challenges in measuring team health? Okay, so you guys talk amongst yourselves for just a couple of minutes. Okay, what is team health? One more minute. That's right. Nice. So maybe I'll try to be on this side. See if that works. We'll get this side. All right. So let's, after everybody on Hangouts got a nice shot of my rear end while I was standing in front of the camera there. Everybody dropped off. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's talk about this for a sec. So what does team health mean? What is it? What are some characteristics of team health? What did you guys talk about?
But honestly, in team, people are saying that they believe that something's going to be happening, and it doesn't happen, and we start to be a little bit angry about that. Right? Try to be cool about it.
Right. Honesty and integrity in your commitments. Yeah, absolutely. What else?
The communication.
Communication. Yeah. Within the team.
Within the team.
People outside of the team. Communication is huge.
Yeah. Having the expectations clear. Of what's going to be delivered or what is not.
Yep.
And perhaps when dealing with or struggling with the deadlines to deliver, being overburned, strength after strength, because the plan didn't meet the expectations.
Right? Agile talks about that sustainable pace. Sustainable over time, but every so often, even when you're being healthy and sustainable, you get that little peak, but it's when it becomes unsustainable.
Yeah. What about responsibilities? Sometimes, well, Agile talks about some roles, and sometimes it doesn't follow the role, or you need another leader to come up. Be good in the team. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You get Scrum Masters playing product owner, or product owners playing Scrum Master, and that definitely causes some challenge, doesn't it? Even challenges when that's their job is to do both. That's a whole nother topic, but we'll leave that one alone. Sorry. Anything else over there?
Yeah, we talked about work environment and how that can affect team health. Also, the work conditions, the physical place, and the facilities, and that can also affect you. And how do you not make the concept of team health something that someone decides if it's good or if it's bad? What's a consequence and what's a cause of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all good. Yeah.
So we were talking about the sustainability of the team members. If they are like working in the same task, in the same project all time, so we have heard about that it is not like a best practice to have somebody doing the same for long years.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe kind of leading the task.
Yeah. That's interesting because you want to have, right, stable teams. So stable mean forever. Who wants to do the same thing forever? Yeah. And I've seen that. Yeah, we've had a stable team for 3 years, 4 years. People are burning out. They need a change, right? So absolutely.
And all of this is tied up to how meaningful the jobs are to these people. Because even if it's meaningful for you, you might not care to be there 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it's still new. But once it's no longer meaningful, it starts being dysfunctional.
Yes, absolutely. People need to feel purpose. Have anybody read Dan Pink, the book Drive? Seen the YouTube video? If you haven't, there's just Dan Pink and Drive, and go YouTube the video. It's a 10-minute video, and he talks about what motivates people. And purpose is the first. Purpose, autonomy, and mastery. That's another talk. Anything else on team health? Who else?
What about productivity and how you measure like the health of the software product that allows the team to be like have a sustainable velocity and feel okay? Because if the software doesn't allow constant change, it will be like every iteration is a lower productivity.
Yeah.
And they will feel bad and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's all about motivation.
Yeah. You need to be motivated, right? You need to feel like what you're doing matters. Yeah. How about, let's move on to the measuring. Do you have any thoughts on measuring? I'm going to give you some thoughts on measuring, but do you have any thoughts on measuring?
I think the main challenge is overcoming, getting into technical and data in the specific and moving to soft measuring, right? How do you translate any particular metric and get that related to team health? That is really a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll look at some, but he brought up a key point, right? Talking about soft skills, the soft able to deliver and provide software, and then they're also happy about it, and all of those soft sort of squishy feelings and things. Yeah, I use the term squishy for the soft stuff. Yeah, but it all makes a difference, right? The squishy stuff is what happens when people aren't motivated and they're really unhappy with their job. And that's what leads to, people burning out, wanting to leave. So, all right, so we're gonna address these in great detail. So let me give you a little bit more about me. This is like a lot of agile stuff that I do. There'll be a quiz at the end. You have that. No, that's all the boring stuff. I say, the fun stuff about me. I always try to talk about fun things, because afterwards, people come up and talk agile, but I like to talk about the fun things. So some things that I do that's fun, and if you do any of these, come talk to me. So I'm a pilot. I have a partner in an airplane, and we fly, and I don't do it very much, but I'm busy. We just got into quads. You do quads in the dunes? Yep, quadding in the dunes, and a mountain bike and road. So those are some fun things I do. And this is the Phoenix Scrum user group. So I run a group like this in Phoenix, in Arizona. So that's also fun. Oh, I'm speaking. If you're going to be in Orlando, I'm actually at a conference speaking there. Has anybody? I spoke here in February. Anybody here come back? Second time now. I scared everybody off in February. Were you here? Yeah. Okay. So I'll be doing a version of that same talk here. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do today. The questions we already talked about. the questions. What's health? What's team health mean, and how do you measure it? We're going to look at really 4 separate approaches, ways to do it. And there's way more. This is not all inclusive. But we're going to start out with, this one is kind of the first kind of team health sort of assessment that was created. All right, any questions on what we're going to do today? Anything else? No? All right. As we finish each one of these, there's going to be time. I'm going to pause, and there will be discussion. So I hope there's discussion. So the Nokia test, this started out as 10 questions, and somewhere it evolved into 9. But we'll take a look at that. So have you heard of the Nokia test? Anybody heard of the Nokia test? So this is like one of the oldest tests there is. It's like 10 years old. 2006 is when this guy, anybody recognize him? Bonus points. I totally would never recognize him. His name's Bass, B-A-S, Bodde, B-O-D-D-E. He's written a bunch of books with Craig Larman on a scaling method now. But back in the day, 9 years ago, he worked for, this was Nokia Siemens Network. So it's kind of a little trivia, even though it's called the Nokia test, it didn't come out of Nokia, it came out of this Nokia Siemens networking company. So he was an agile coach there at the company, trying to, this is 9 years ago, trying to get agile out. And he talked to people with organizations that were doing agile. He says, how's it going? What are you doing? And so some of the things I said to him, who wants somebody read that? Why don't you read the first one there?
We use Scrum. We're now planning sprint.
Okay. Not so good. Why don't you read the next one?
Iterative development, our last iteration was planned to be 1 year long, but it actually took 2 months.
Yeah, so our last iteration took 2 years. So needless to say, he's frustrated at this point. And so he says, they don't get it. They just don't get it. So he comes up, him and a friend, they come up with two bullet pointed slides. One is we're not doing iterative, and the other one is you're not doing Scrum. When? And so we're going to take a look at that. Oh, before we look at it, this slide right here became the Nokia test. Jeff Sutherland, do we know who Jeff Sutherland is? Anybody? He's one of the co-creators of Scrum. Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber created Scrum. Okay, so Jeff Sutherland picks up this slide, and he called it the Nokia test and expanded it and added scoring. And we're going to take a look at that. So here's the original slide. You can actually see 2006 down there. And so let's go through these, okay? And we'll see. You're not doing iterative if your iterations are longer than 2 to 6 weeks. How do you feel about that? Any of you doing iterative work that's longer than that? So this is old, and what's the standard now? Yeah, 1 to 4, less than, right? 4 weeks or less. Teams try to complete specifications, so you write a spec for the whole project before you start programming. Okay. That doesn't sound very agile. An iteration does not include testing. Anybody doing that? Development, then you give it to test? Be brave, come on. Be brave, all right. Iteration does not produce workable code. Not intentionally, right? Detailed plans and accurate estimates are expected at the beginning of a project. For the whole project, here's a detailed plan and here's our estimate. That one's dropped. People still want that, don't they? Yeah. Yeah. You're not doing iterative development when you have to do that. Iteration plan does not reflect what the team is doing. That means we have an iteration plan, but people have come in and said, oh, we need you to do this. We need you to do this. We need you to do this. That noise can sometimes be more work than the planned work, right? Okay. Sorry, what?
Tell me about it.
You're living that one, right? Okay.
It's not our fault because the stakeholders always want to do it and then.
Yeah. Say that again?
The stakeholders
Yeah.
always want to know it and then.
Yeah, definitely.
There's one thing that I want to add about that, and it's the estimates and iterations. We have been trying to get a little bit more, and what we have come to is that we're going to be planning for a year-long project. We're planning for 4 Qs, and so you're going to be, what's the difference going to do for Q4? I don't know. Agile life, we should know what we're going to do 2 weeks from now. But estimates are one of the biggest parts that say the stakeholders say, hey, I cannot fund you if I don't know where we're going to fund you. And things that it's like, it's not me the one who should be saying where we're going to be going to do. We're going to
Yep, absolutely. But and it's not that you can't like plan out 4 quarters, right? But it's what level of granularity should these things be, right? Big things, right? And then also what's the level of confidence around these things, right? It's lower. You're like, well, here's a 30% chance we're going to do these great big things. Then you come back to Q3 and you go, well, there's a 50% chance we're going to do these big things. You come back to Q2 and you go, okay, it's about a 75% chance we're going to do these. And now you're breaking it down maybe a little, these medium-sized things. And now for Q1 that you're just about to start, you've broken it down a little bit. You should be going, oh, there's about a 90% chance we'll get all of this done, right? And so a lot of it is not going too deep and setting appropriate expectations. Okay? Yep. What else? Iteration plan doesn't reflect what the team is doing. There's little cooperation within the team. Team is fighting, right? Not getting along. Design and code is produced with individual effort. So designers work together, throw it over the wall, give it to coders. Progress is hours spent or documents versus finished working software. And builds are done once in 3 weeks. How many people are doing builds, continuous builds? Yeah, good. That's great. How many? Every 3 weeks? How many people wish they could get a build every 3 weeks, right? I've been there. It's hard, right? Those of you that are doing it continuous, it took some effort to get there, didn't it? Yeah. So this was the original, right? Bas Bode, that was his slide. He said in 2006, this was the kind of fundamentals that we should be doing if we're doing iterative development. All right, so this then turned into, I'll just show you a little bit here. Does anybody know what these guys are, the rugby thing? Yeah, you know the haka? Oh, all right. I probably don't. I need to show you that. So this Jeff's deck, this is Jeff's deck apparently. Let's see if that actually works. So, right. So let me just show you one of these questions. This is Jeff Sutherland's original deck when he created this. So he'll say iterations. He said if you're doing fixed iterations 4 weeks or less, so he changed it from the 6 weeks to 4, you get 10 points. And you get 4 points for 5 weeks. That extra week cost you some points, didn't it? And all the way down. So he's done this with basically all of those bullet points. So what's cool is there's an online version of this. And here it is, the Scrum test. And if the planets align, if I come all the way over here, I've got one all set up. Right? Here's those 9 questions. And you can submit and you get a score. So out of 9, I think they divide by 10. And you can see if you change things, right, you'll get a different score. 7.3. Okay? So that's, let me see, I'll spare you. I do have to show you, right? Has anybody not seen this? The Haka? Come on, somebody say it. Okay. So this, here, let me do this. Let's pause for a second. Somebody who knows what this is. I saw some hands. What's the Haka?
Let's say like a warm challenge before starting the rugby game.
Yeah.
So it's actually the team provides a chance to their competitor to do the haka, and actually they kind of have a competition to see who does it stronger, and, in order to start more motivated the game.
Yeah.
It's taunting.
Yeah, it's intimidation, and so we'll show at least a little bit of it. So it actually came from New Zealand, and it's this.
We're actually right now in the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup.
Oh yeah. It doesn't do it. Maybe I can get a little more volume out of it here. All right, so yeah, so that's the Australian All Blacks. They're the famous haka people. Yeah, just watch it.
I like this guy, you gotta watch it.
Try this before you stand up.
He's not scared. We're not scared. Hands with the slicing of the throat there, okay? So that's just a little distraction for us, but just in case you were wondering, this is what it looks. This is what it looks like when a bunch of software guys do a haka. You'll find some similarities.
Call meeting.
This guy's pretty intense. This guy starts laughing. Again, that is not the slicing of the throat. So. All right, they actually translate that. So, I don't know what that has to do with the Nokia test, but other than it's in Jeff Sutherland's original deck, and no, so it's a way to get your team united, right? And getting prepared for battle to start their sprint with that battle cry, okay? All right. So, thoughts on the Nokia test? What do you think? Anybody?
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You can have your team do that. You can see what the scores are. You can track that.
I've read some statistics about like the average grades people get.
I haven't seen any. Oh yeah, I have. There actually are. He talks about when teams, like when he was doing CSMs, people doing CSMs would rate their teams at about a 4, total 4. And then he said within 3 months of tracking this, they were up to about a 7. After they come out of the CSMs, they were like a 7.2. He did have some numbers with that. Yeah. Yep. Anything else? Yeah.
What's the year of the latest version?
I don't know. I just out to that site, and all this we'll post the deck, and you guys can get it and get all the links. But
So the person spoke about a build of weeks, right? We should be doing introducing.
oh right, yeah. Clearly, the 2006 is things have changed in the last 9 years, right? Yeah, yeah. You'll see if we went into detail with Sutherland's, yeah, you would see a little bit of a difference. Okay. How about like some of the soft skills? We didn't see a whole lot of soft, squishy stuff in there, did we? Right? He was worried about let's fundamentals. Let's just get this iterative development piece down, right? And so we're going to look at some other approaches that have different focuses. Both sides focus on different things. So here's another approach based on Agile principles. Special thanks to my buddy Larry there, who kind of introduced me to this approach. This one gets at how well your team adheres to the Agile principles. Now, have you seen the Agile principle, Agile Manifesto? Anybody here who's not seen the Agile Manifesto? You have homework. If you haven't seen it, you should go out to agilemanifesto.org and see it. There's 4 values, and then there are 12 principles. We're going to actually look at the principles. But the principles, the manifesto principles, really help you focus on the mindset. So when you an Agile team, it's very easy to get focused on Scrum, on the process of doing Scrum. Very easy. Our stand-up went 16 minutes today. Okay? That's not the end of the world. What's a bigger problem is that your team isn't really thinking in an Agile way or believing in depth, right, in their heart and soul that Agile is the way to go and that these principles that we're going to talk about are really the way to do software. So this provides a little bit different focus, right? The Nokia was fundamentals around iterative development, and we'll take a look at this. So here's the manifesto principles. Let me get somebody to help read again. Green parts. I'll who wants to volunteer? Go ahead. Yeah. Just
Satisfy the customer. Continuously deliver valuable software.
Okay, pause just for a sec. Satisfy the customer by continuously delivering software. Yep, go. You get to keep going.
Welcome changing requirements.
Okay. How many of you welcome changing requirements?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deliver working software frequently.
Deliver working software frequently. Right, as you're hearing these and you're thinking about Scrum, right? Scrum does all these. Keep going.
Business people and developers must work together.
Developers and business people? That's always one I find people struggle with. Developers and our product owner, necessarily with the actual business people. Okay, keep going.
Build projects around motivated individuals and trust them.
Okay.
And face-to-face conversation.
Okay, so there's 12 principles. It's the first 6. Sounds good, right? If your team did all those, that would be great, right? Another volunteer. 6. Come on. All right, go ahead.
Working software.
Primary measure of progress, working software.
Sustainable development.
We've already talked about that one.
Continuous attention to technical excellence.
So think about that. Continuous attention to technical excellence. How often do you trade off technical excellence to get stuff done?
I think it's all the time to accomplish or to deliver something to the business.
Yeah. Well, this is the Agile Manifesto. Okay? These guys got together, created this thing that is really the heart and soul of Agile. How often do you look at this? How often do you think about this? Okay, keep going.
Maximizing the amount of work not done.
I mean,
You should accomplish more by doing less.
exactly. You get some focus by identifying what you're not going to do. That gives you space to do.
Self-organizing things.
Not command and control, not manage, not told how to do things.
And the team reflects.
Team reflects at regular intervals. The team reflects. Sound good? One of the things that we can do in terms of evaluating our team is to say, how well does our team do with respect to these 12 principles? So a super easy way to do that, we created a Google form, which I already have open. So right, super easy Google form. Rate it 1 to 5. Here's the highest priority: satisfy the customer through early and continuous development. You create this form, and you have everyone on your team take it.
Problem is that agile teams don't like to fill out surveys.
They don't like to fill out surveys. So, yeah, you don't do this every day. You maybe don't do this every retrospective. You maybe do this once a quarter.
And whenever you're doing that, doing it anonymously, it's a little bit better.
Oh yeah, it's anonymous. Yep. There's the 12. You get some data. What's that data look like? So you can do some cool things, right? Here's some data pulled out from a team. I don't know if you guys know how the Google Forms work. Does everybody know how they work? It's cool. You go to Google, you create the form, you just create the form, and then all of a sudden you give them the link, they fill it out, and they get this other file right here gets created, the Excel file with all the data in it. So I take that, copied it to Excel just because. You'll see why. All right, yeah. But so you see this, you can start going, oh, on the first one, you have an average of 3, you start going, oh, look at that, 1.94. You can start identifying those things. And how do you use this? How do you use this data? If you're a Scrum Master and you've decided to, do this survey for your team, what do you do with it when you get it?
You get the lowest score and try to start working on coaching your team on that specific.
Yeah. Yeah. You share it. You get your team, and you start working on, you know, you might be the lowest one, but the team might have more passion around the second lowest one. I think that's the thing. The real value comes in the conversation with the team. We talked about a healthy team. What was, I think you had the communication, right? Communication was one of the biggest problems. Just imagine if you took this data, sat down with your team, and just had a conversation about it. It's all anonymous. You don't know who did what, and now you get to say, team, look, here's what our team feels like. We feel like we're doing all right here, but we're doing really badly on this 1.94, 1.25. How do we feel about it? Do we want to do better? Now you've got an opportunity to actually have a decent conversation, good communication, and work that into what would you like to do about it. And as a Scrum Master, as a facilitator, as a servant leader for the team, when you present this data and let the team talk, you know, you sort of maybe ask a couple of questions to get them going, let them talk. What do you guys want to do about it? And you let them talk again. And so now what you've done as a Scrum Master, facilitator, servant leader, you've given the team a way that they can manage their own health. They can be self-organizing and they can take control of what's not healthy in the team. Oh, that continuous build thing. Oh man, the deliver working software. We're not really doing that. What do we need to do to deliver working software? Well, you know, we probably need to slow down. We need to, it doesn't really matter. What matters is you get to have the conversation and you get to let them work on what they want to do. Pretty big, right? So let me just show you something you can do with this. So I've got a sample here, 1 month, 2 months. Put some bar charts together. You can see, right? A little bit of visualization. Here's my favorite one. I love these radar charts. Huh? You guys are laughing. Why are you laughing? Because either you like the radar charts too or you don't like the radar charts. What is it? Satisfy customer with early and continuous delivery. Month 1 to month 2. Month 1 to month 2. Now you can do the, I just labeled a month 1. I made up all the data, right, for demo here. Month 1 to month 2, oh, we got worse. Why do we get worse? Maybe it's quarter 1 to quarter 2. Oh, deliver frequently. That looks like we addressed that problem. We got our continuous delivery done between month 1 and month 2, right? So this gives you a mechanism to see change. Pretty good? Now you can have those conversations, and what do you do with this data? Show it to your team. No, that's the in case I have no network. All right. So thoughts on that?
Sometimes the team initiates with the methodology itself and not so much around the values and the principles. And it makes it more complicated because perhaps the adjustment of how they approach the work needs to change.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Anybody else?
We have faced challenges in that because what Lincoln said is that the team can find a solution and make it happen.
Right.
But sometimes it's difficult for them to get out of that mindset of my manager or my leader is the one who's gonna drive. And I mean, and as leaders, what we have been doing, we have to step back and let them do it. And just maybe send them reminders of how are you doing on that. But yeah,
You're right, and that's hard. It's hard when you know, when you feel you know. I know better. I want to tell you what to do. But what do you do when you do that? What are you taking away? Who owns it then? As soon as you tell me what I got to do, I'm doing what you want. I'm not doing what I want. I don't own it anymore.
but sometimes it's also difficult for them to take the right.
It is difficult, and it's even more difficult to embrace the silence and wait until they come up with something. It's really hard. It's hard for me. That's been one of my biggest challenges, is to just go.
I think the best trigger in there is get feedback from them and give that feedback to them. Yeah. So it's like a feedback for feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. My boss has this great statement. He says, watch your question statement ratio. Think about it, your question to statement ratio. How often are you telling your team what to do versus asking them a question? And as a facilitating Scrum Master, it should be a lot more question than statement. Yeah.
What happens if you have a team member that maybe is like a separate case that has different results from the rest of the team? This person can affect the average metrics, but what do you do in this case?
Yeah. Anybody, what do you think?
I think as leaders, if you are a leader of a team, you need to get to know every single member of the team, know their strengths, what they're good at, because probably one can be very good in math or not, so you have to assign probably different tasks, but getting to know each other of the members, do you know what to assign, what you know they will do fine, so you can trust what you need to learn, you need to get to know them first. Yeah.
Agreed. You need to
So maybe
know people and build trust.
Maybe they don't do the same,
trust.
they don't have the same results.
That's yeah, that doesn't address his question. Let me go back to his question though. His question of, what if you have an outlier? So you have an average of 3 and you've got one guy that's at 1. What do you think you should do with that?
Get to see what he feels like that. That's the first question. Yeah, what do you feel it's going to be a 1 or 2?
What about the anonymous survey? You can still call it out. You can still say team. All right, I need some more things open. There it
I
is.
think it depends on the dynamics of the team. If they trust each other, it's fine.
Right. If they trust each other, it's fine. But how many of your teams do you feel really trust each other to the level that they should, that you'd like them to? Yeah, it's harder. And
there are teams and teams. I mean, people sometimes is like really connected, and some people, some teams are like, I do my part, and you do your part. That's okay. Some people that is just disconnected from each other. So I would probably, trust on these figures and probably think about how much feedback I do get in that retrospective things, because you're going to find a guy that is putting those low numbers really easily if you encourage the guys to to take the retrospective in their hands. Yeah.
I also think that there's a lot of risk in trying to call out a person as they're guilty of bringing down metrics or whatever, and maybe focusing on the problem rather than the person who brought it up. A little bit of a clear conversation.
right. And another way to have a conversation, in a maybe a little bit more healthy way is just to look at some of these numbers and go, well, if you look at you know, this person, look at these zeros, or look at this one right here. A lot of zeros in there. And have a conversation like that. Why do you, maybe there's some zeros and some fours, a couple of 4s and 5s. So that the range is the full range from 0 to 5. And just have a conversation. And at some point, maybe not the first time you have it, maybe not the second time, but at some point, someone will probably go, well, I gave it a 0, because they'll have enough trust or confidence. They'll say, well, I gave it because blah, blah, blah. Well, I gave it a 5 because, and they'll volunteer it. So now you're not, again, all you're doing is showing, sharing data, and asking questions. Yep.
But because I saw this Spotify people are doing where they have a dashboard, and it's individual and it's public. They have the name of the person, and they rate themselves in a lot of things. But they put some happiness in the work. They rate like sweat or yellow or green, and they feel that they are making progress. So I think it's a next level of transparency where everyone is talking about how they feel. But there might be some people very happy and feeling that if they are progressing, others feel very unhappy, but everyone gets it to that. And I just saw the presentation, and I've never seen it in practice. And it's scary, right?
Yeah.
How will people react?
Yeah. Well, and again, it gets back to the trust, right? Right down here, it's at the base, trust. Do you trust your team enough that you can say, I'm sad? Do you even do that when everybody's all putting up smiley faces and happies? Do you trust your team? You feel like you can be that open and honest? And again, I think it kind of depends. It depends on the team. If you're a high performing team that's been together, that trusts each other, you can do that, and that is awesome. That's where you want to be. But you may not be there today. And just throwing out some real data saying, here's how you are anonymously, here's how you feel about these things, let's talk about it. And that act will build trust over time. All right? Oh, this is one of my favorite. Because I'm blank. Because I'm bless you. Thank you. What goes in the blank? That's a hint. You guys are good.
This is the happiest country in the world.
All right, so this just because I'm happy. Got another little video for you. Have you seen this? Have you seen this video? Anybody? Yeah? Okay. I dare you, like, you might be sick of it, but I dare you to look at it and not feel a little better afterwards, right? It's hard to watch all these people dancing and not be happier afterwards. Like that guy. All right. We're in a little bit of a time crunch. All right. Interesting. This is what I call the happy factor. It came out of this book by Jeff Sutherland, again, one of the creators of Scrum. This is a really good book, by the way. I love this book. It's just interesting. Jeff Sutherland, you get done reading this book and you're like, you are a smart dude. That's how you feel after reading that book. Like, he worked on curing cancer for a while. He flew jet airplanes and something else, a bunch of research, and then he came up with Scrum in his spare time. You know? Right. In here, he talks about this paper, studied this paper. In this paper, she studied 225 other papers on happiness. And one of the things that they found was interesting was this. Who wants to read this? Come on, come on, come on. You haven't played yet. All right, read this.
Happiness leads to success in nearly every one of our lives.
Including marriage, health, friendship, community involvement, creativity, and in particular our jobs, careers, and business. Happiness leads to success. What's different about that? It's not my music, is it? Where's that coming from? I'm just hearing things, right? I start dancing up here. Yeah. There you go. All right. So what's different about this statement than you might expect? It's backwards. Success leads to happiness. Yeah. No, that's what they found out. Happiness leads to success. Study after study shows that happiness precedes important outcomes and indicators of thriving. Happiness precedes. And you don't need a lot. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of happiness really goes a long way. So here's what Sutherland did. At the end of every sprint, he had asked his team these questions. On a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel about your role in the company? 1 to 5, how do you feel about the company as a whole? Why do you feel that way? And this to me is the moneymaker right here. What one thing would make you happier next spring? What do we think about those questions?
I don't think actually companies actually they do that. I think it's going to happen in real life. Millions of people know it, they are important.
Yeah.
They make perfect business sense.
Yeah.
And so they should be implemented.
He did this at the end of each sprint. Asked the people on his teams. So these first few are pretty deep questions, right? How do you feel about your role in the company? Think people share all that? I should be president.
My team actually, we are asked to speak out if we do not feel happy, and they demand that from you.
That's
always
awesome.
say to speak out as soon as you go into the job.
It was kind of, when I read this, like I knew that. You know, if you're not happy, you're not going to be overachieving, right? You're not going to be excelling. And it was just kind of this wake up to me. It was like, oh yeah. And then I thought about this, what one thing would make you happy your next sprint? If you just ask your team that, what one thing would make you happier? Do people want to do their job well? Do they want to be happy? Yeah. You'll get all sorts of good stuff with that question. These other questions to me, what do you think about those?
So you're not actually saying, are you happy? You're just asking, how are you feeling in the present, right?
Well,
and the last one, you were saying that's your base.
Well, the last question. So yeah, these are how do you feel? Not necessarily are you, but it's, you know, how do you feel about your role? If I say 0, you can guess that I'm less happy than if I said 5, right? I think the real value of these questions, especially this one, again, why do you feel that way? Now imagine this is a squishy conversation, but you're having this with your team. Now, do you think these questions are going to build trust in your team?
It depends, because if you ask that every sprint and someone is like responding 1 or 2, but nothing changes, then it doesn't make any sense.
So you need to take action.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have that power, right?
Yeah.
And also sometimes they expect you to fix that. Like, okay, I don't know.
Oh.
Next sprint I want.
A pink pony.
Right. So that doesn't happen. It's like,
But even if your team knows that you're asking these questions honestly, but they don't feel confident about answering previous to the question, they probably won't speak out. You need to build trust before you ask this.
Trust, foundation.
I think also this person needs to be prepared to hear, because sometimes when they get the feedback, they're like, and they respond not so positive.
So this is really interesting. The person needs to be prepared to hear bad news. Who's the person receiving the Scrum Master? Who do you think really benefits from this information? Scrum Master? Team. Again, it's a little shift. We're doing this for the team. We want the team to have what? Conversations about this. And what does having a conversation about how happy I am going to do? Probably being vulnerable, I'm building trust. And a lot of things, you're absolutely going to run into that, because I genuinely feel I should be CEO of our company. And that's not going to happen, whether I feel like it or not. Our CEO is awesome, by the way. I should not be CEO. Oh, especially. Yeah. Love you, Clay. And oh, right. So the conversation. So that's what you're getting out of this for sure. This one, I think you're getting some good conversations too. But I think this one you get some direct. All right, well, team, what about this? We've got 5 things that would make these people happy. One of them is for the, you know, if I'm a tester, if I could just work with the developer more sooner, instead of getting the finished product thrown over the wall at me to test, that would make me happier. That's not only a relatively easy thing to do, but that really helps the team, right? Something to think about, right? Every one of these sort of models that I'm looking at really brings a different aspect into focus about what, right? The Nokia test, basic iterative fundamental principles, this happy factor brings in different. And our goal in all of this isn't to say you should absolutely use this one, but it's here are some different techniques. When the time is right for your team, here's something you can, you know, pull out of your tool belt and maybe use with your team.
Yeah. But I'm also very proud around this, starting with why to the team members, okay? Because it can be possible also that someone that maybe is not comfortable enough in the company or in their job, we tell you that, okay, I feel very comfortable, very happy, but if you don't explain the reason are asking this, maybe the people, the person can feel that, okay, if I tell that I'm not happy with it, they can replace.
Get fired.
Yes.
And I think it's a tricky question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm noticing a lot of trust issues, right? My next talk's gonna be when I come back. I know my next talk is too.
It is wrong to drive the question a little bit, because I'm thinking that I work with outsourcing, with an outsourcing team. So there's things that I really could not do for them because I'm not within their company.
Right.
But it is wrong if I try to drive them a little bit and say what I can or what we can do in our context to make you happy, and like to try to drive the question in our context, or that is like giving them a lot of like breaking direction and to answer a particular thing you want to hear as a Scrum Master.
So you're the Scrum Master.
Yeah, I'm the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master, and they are outsourcing. There's an outsourcing team members within.
Yeah. This company is outsourced to you, and you have your team. Yeah. So.
It's kind of this way. I think we work at the same company. We are a bank. We have outtesting people working on our Scrum teams.
Yeah.
Oh, you're outsourcing to get people on your teams.
Yeah. His team is outtesting people.
It's outtesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the comment? Okay. Right. It's.
He wanted to negotiate what can be done to be happy.
Yeah. Well, I can't emphasize this enough. What's the big benefit of this? The biggest benefit. Hint. The conversation about it. Whether you can do it or not, if you have the conversation. Like the things you can't do, everybody's going to know you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I can't be CEO. Even if I say I really wish I could be CEO, well, the conversation might be, you know what, you might be happier at another company where you have a chance to be CEO. And I might go home and think about that and come back tomorrow and I might go, you know what, maybe I don't need to be CEO. Or maybe I'll go, you're right. But at least, I've gotten it off my chest. I've had a conversation, and it really is around trust. You need to be sure you're especially with these, because these get sensitive, squishy, right? You need to be sure that you are not, burning people with these, right? You cannot go to the boss, first guy who gets fired because, you're done. The whole organization will just shut down. So you need to provide that safe environment. And when we talk about trust, I want to be clear, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about vulnerability-based trust. It means I can be vulnerable. I can say things like, man, I am struggling this week. I am not happy with my work. I'm doing a bunch of stuff I don't like. I'll grind through it, but I just, and if you're the boss going, you'll grind through it for 6 more months. It gets tricky, right? But you have to have that trust, and it's hard to develop. It takes work. It doesn't just happen.
And perhaps adding to this point, when you're in a relationship where someone is outsourcing and the other one belongs to the company, there's this demand kind of thing because I'm paying in between.
Oh, I know.
That makes it complicated.
Yes, that is trickier.
Yeah.
But it depends, because I also work in a similar context, but I'm a Scrum owner, and the Scrum team is outsourced. So it's like building the trust between, like, I'm not the company paying you, but we want to have a outcome that is the good result. It's good for everybody, right? So it's, sometimes I see things that I don't like because they not look like agile. And I try to, I'll talk about that, and then they come up with the better, solution or,
Yeah.
or way to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was outsourced.
Yeah.
That was
No,
good.
you're absolutely right. And
But
it's
tricky, right? Because
it's tricky. It's tricky, but ideally, same deal. You build a trusting relationship with your outsourced partner, or you being the outsourced.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
What happens when, because I know it's
Collaboration over.
Contract
one of our the guys said, what would make me happy next sprint is not participating in this daily sports.
Okay.
I want to attend to those daily sports. So we came to the deal that, okay, you are on track and everything, and you don't have anything, you might be there, but you just say, I passed. And he was okay with that. But if you have something, then you need to. So.
Yeah. All right. One more, and then we'll move on.
On our company, we have like 100 out-tasking engineers. And it's difficult to know the name of every one of them, right? But when you sit with the person and you say, hi, Hector, hi, Carlos, I'm going to work like an hour with you. They like see you in a different way. I think that's little stuff that builds trust.
Yeah.
I am not thinking you are tasking. We are just going to work together.
Yeah.
It's like a start, right?
Yeah, especially in the outsourcing world. There's a lot you can do, a lot you should do, and then, everybody wants to save money. That's why they're outsourcing. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge. All right, let's remember one more thing. Need a minute. Okay. Oh, Sutherland's results. Stories weren't good enough. In just a few weeks of doing this approach, he did this approach. He claims in a few weeks his velocity went from 40 to 120. Yeah, that's a lot, right? In a few weeks. See the quotes. That's because it was in the book. That feels a bit. Yeah, I didn't say that. This I thought was interesting. Happiness is predictive. What we have here is we've got happiness, and we've got velocity, right? Happiness, and velocity, and as velocity is bouncing around like you expect, happiness, by doing this happiness approach, the team is getting happier, and then this is velocity. No, wait. Yeah, well, this is velocity, and the happiness is bouncing around. Happiness drops off early, predictive of the team velocity. I thought that was interesting. I struggle a little bit with the exact ratios there, but it's interesting. It's in his book. I'm sure there's.
This chart is suggesting that the least happy you are, the more productive you're going to be. Unless it's a couple.
No.
Happiness is also slow.
No, he's saying that with happiness dropped off, velocity dropped off.
Okay.
Right? Oh, and then, yeah, there's my Dan Pink reference. Happy teams. Are your teams happy? Help them take ownership and make themselves happy. I think by going back and asking that question, what would make you happier? One of the big advantages of that question alone is it's very direct. What would make you happier? And, there's a challenge. I want to be CEO. Well, that's not really in the circle of possibility. But what other things would make you happier? And you can do those things and be very direct about making teams happier. How do we make that happen? And I think the biggest goal, the biggest win in all of this is if you can identify it, present the data to them, and let them choose. Let them self-organize and take control of what they're doing to control their own happiness.
What is a good approach to make the people understand about the reason they have to take the ownership of their own happiness instead of demanding the manager to make them happy? I don't know if I explained.
Yeah, why do you want them to take control versus have the manager be in control?
Yeah, because sometimes I think a mindset from the team members can be that as you are my manager, you have to make me happy, and you have to give me the solution. Okay, how do you make the people understand that it's better for them to get their own solution?
Yeah. Anybody else? I feel like I've been talking a lot. Somebody have a thought on that? Yeah.
I think it's not one way or another. In the fact that there is a conversation might imply that there are some things that the team finds out that can be solved independently, while others they are saying it's the organization that is screwing us up, so we need help.
Yeah.
I think we're giving this to to get help.
Yeah.
They both have to.
Yeah. Right? Ideally, again, there's trust, teams working together.
Y
honest here. And the cool part, I've done this. You actually have to, you take a class, you have to become a certified facilitator to do this. The conversation that comes out is, you don't do this every day, right? This is, you can see it's very comprehensive. This is maybe a once a quarter type thing, maybe even once every 6 months to do this. And what's cool when you do this, it's like a super retrospective. The conversation, when you step back, and I don't have the view afterwards because we're running out of time. If you want, I'll dig it out and pull it up. But there's another view of this radar chart that shows everybody's answers. So you can imagine this just being without the center circle going from 0 to 10, and all the dots are on it. So like you you get some very interesting things. You can go, oh, there was a 1 and 4 9s. So you go, holy cow, somebody's unhappy about this topic, right? Great conversation. And when you look at this and you start looking at the patterns, you can go, okay, right? Pretty good. Okay, not so good here. Oh, that's accountability. Our culture, we don't really have a culture of accountability. People don't do what they say they're going to do, and we don't even call them out. So, would that be a good conversation? Would you be interested to see how your people felt about that? Yeah. Lots of good questions in here. Let me keep going. Just optional exercise, which we're going to skip. So let's go back to this and just we'll wrap up on this. Thoughts on this? And again, if you after 9, I'll see if I can pull up a file and show you an actual report that comes out of this. It's pretty nice. You get a report that says, oh, the wide range, the things that we're very divergent on is this. The things that we're very much in agreement on, very narrow range of, if everybody answers, 7s and 8s, you know that the team's feeling, united, at least the united view of that. From that, you build they call it a growth plan, which is basically, right, coming out of a retrospective. Would we want to take action on? What would we like to improve? Oh, you know what, we want to improve our accountability. So put that on the growth plan. And that's something for the next 3 to 6 months. And that's how that's used.
Going back to soft skills, I think that this chart is actually getting deeper.
Much more into soft skills, much squishier in here. And I have these cards. You're free to, afterwards flip through. You can read them. I've got another. I'll pull one up so that you can zoom in if you like. You can go out and check the website. Just Google Agility Health. Again, commercial tool. It's not free, but it's a tool. It keeps a record. What's really nice too is you can compare. Just like I was comparing month 1 and month 2. You can compare survey 1 and survey 2. So if you take one a quarter later, you can overlay it just like I did. And you can see, this graph that goes like this and compare it. And say, oh, we made some progress, or oh, we got worse. Yeah. Yes?
Can this tool be used for organizations that are not into agile?
Yeah, the tool can be, and they actually have different radars with different questions, and you can create your own radars with your own questions. Lots there.
Yeah, I think what is really good about this graph is that you can actually compare different teams in different projects. So you can, see a little practice here to be implemented in another team if it's, low numbers there. So,
yeah, yeah, you can compare that. You can actually take a look, and when you pull it up in the tool, you can go, well, I want to see just the developers. I want to see just the quality people. I want to see just the product owners. And you can segment it that way too across teams. Yeah, lots of cool stuff you can do. Yeah. All right, any other comments, questions before we wrap it up? All right, well, like I said, I'm gonna hang out. If you wanna come see these cards, you're more than welcome to see these cards. I wanna thank everybody again for braving the traffic and I showed up at whatever time, there was nobody in here. I'm going, oh my God. So I really appreciate you guys showing up. I really do. This was really, really fun coming down here. I want to thank Mike also, Mike Bizdos. He, if you're not aware, he's doing the CSM training here this week, and I got to tag along and do some fun stuff with him also. So, all right, I'll hang out. If there's any other comments or questions, come talk to me. But thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks. I should have thanked you too. Thank you.
De parte del grupo, muchas gracias por haber estado acá. Mike, por siempre darnos estos espacios. Simplify, por ayudarnos a patrocinar el evento también. Cualquier pregunta, ahí está en Facebook, ¿verdad? El grupo está abierto para todos y ahí estamos para ayudar con cualquier cosa. ¿Perdón? Yes, the material.
Material. What about alive? No, yeah. I'll send them, you can post them.
Have to wait. It's no longer commercial.
No. I'll send them to you.
Okay, and I will post it on the list. That's it.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.